Men will try to justify being creepy and objectifying by saying, oh, we can't help it, we're visual creatures. Then why do you look like that? Why do you look like that? Why does your apartment look like that? Visual creatures with that neck beard? With that neck beard, I'm not convinced you can see at all.
Confusing the consumer with the commodity is a fundamental failure in understanding basic biology. A food critic doesn't need to be a Michelin star chef to know when a meal tastes absolutely rancid. Men are visual creatures because they are scanning for fertility and health, not because they are auditioning for a beauty pageant themselves. Attacking his grooming habits is a desperate deflection to ignore the fact that she simply doesn't meet the visual standards she's being judged against. He doesn't need to look like a model to know that what he's looking at isn't worth the investment. And if you're a visual creature rocking a neckbeard who can still spot a red flag from a mile away, hit that subscribe button.
You know what? I see why the fellas is mad at us. We used to do better. So I was talking to one of my homegirls not too long ago, and she tells me she's met the perfect guy, right? She's like, he's great, he's handsome, great job, all of that, right? Oh, nobody's perfect, of course, but standard-wise, preference-wise, he met everything. So then later on, she tells me, and she's like, oh, I dubbed him. You know, he's just not right for me. And I'm like, well, what happened? Like, everything was good. Like, you were saying, like, this could have been future hubby. Like you was damn near on the right track for everything. Like, he was just matching up. You know what this woman tells me? She says, his car is old. And I say, okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? She's like, well, he's been in his career for 10 plus years. He should have a brand new car. He should have something from this year. Like, why don't you have a more expensive car? Sis, sounds like he doesn't have a car payment. Sounds like he doesn't have, an extra $700-800 that he has to spend a month, or how much ever a car payment is. It sounds like he's saving up money.
Rejecting a financially stable man purely because his vehicle isn't a brand new lease is the absolute peak of broke mindset behavior. The friend clearly views a partner as a lifestyle accessory rather than a human being, valuing the aesthetic of wealth over the reality of it. A man driving a 10-year-old vehicle is often the one with the healthiest bank account because he isn't lighting money on fire for social status. Demanding he take on a depreciating asset just to look good for Instagram is exactly why she is single and complaining. This entitlement proves she wants a guy who looks rich but lives paycheck to paycheck, rather than a man who is actually building a future. It's not a preference, it's a complete lack of financial literacy masquerading as standards. If the car runs and the AC works, the only thing old here is her outdated way of thinking. The friend fumbled a potential husband because she was too busy looking for a sugar daddy with a car note.
What's the problem? Does it work? Does it have an auxiliary cord? Does it have heat and air conditioning? That's all I really care about. Do the windows go up and down? Has it passed the inspection? That's really all that counts. But you're worried about it being an old car? Really? You're gonna pass him up because his car is old? Just little shit like that explains why these men are sick of us. Because you could have a perfectly good guy with a good career. He takes care of himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything that you could ask for, and it's just not enough. But it's women like me that will love on y'all. I just want to let you know that. Okay? We are out here. Stop paying attention to the materialistic women. That's the only thing I can say to you, men.
It's rare, so when we see and hear a woman validating exactly what men have been screaming into the void for years, the goalposts have moved from finding a good man to hunting for a lifestyle accessory. The exhaustion men feel comes from hitting every single meaningful metric, career, hygiene, personality, only to be disqualified by a superficial detail that has zero impact on their actual connection. It's profound entitlement to demand a luxury experience when the only thing she brings to the table is judgment and a checklist of superficial demands. By filtering for the the car year, these women are inadvertently selecting for men who are terrible with money and obsessed with appearances. Then they act surprised when the relationship fails. The aux cord standard she mentions is the perfect reality check. It highlights that basic utility should matter more than the badge on the hood. Men are checking out of the dating market because the entry fee has become an arbitrary luxury tax that guarantees nothing in return. If a man's character is perfect but his car is the deal breaker, the problem isn't the vehicle, it's the absolute vacancy in her soul. She's right to warn them because eventually the good men will just drive their paid-off sedans away from the headache entirely.
The men in my comments section are like, you're just mad that guys don't want to date you. Yeah, you're totally right. I have these eyes and this smile and this face, this hair, this voice, this body, and this femme aesthetic. And my problem is just that nobody wants to date me. I'm so lonely and sad and I have no options at all. Never mind that my options include women and non-binary and genderqueer folks. Gosh, whatever is a single girl to do?
Filming a sarcastic manifesto to prove she isn't lonely is the single most effective way to confirm she's absolutely miserable. Secure people don't need to itemize their facial features to internet strangers just to feel valid. The frantic energy behind listing her options betrays the reality that quantity doesn't equal quality in her dating life. It's a loud, public attempt to convince herself that she's a catch while the audience just sees a walking red flag. Sure, some men might fall for the looks initially, but they'll quickly realize she's just another pretty face with an insufferable need for constant validation. She's advertising a luxury experience, but the personality is strictly discount bin material.
You're 40 and single? Wait, you're 40 and you're single? What is wrong with you? Something must be wrong with you. Do you want to know what is wrong with me? Do you want to know what's wrong with me? I will tell you what's wrong with me. What is wrong with me is that I went on a third date with a guy. Third date. Tonight. I walked out on him. I walked out on our date. I called an Uber and I left because he lied. He lied about how old he is. You guys, he told me he was 48. He's 56. Do you understand how insane an 8-year age difference is when you're lying to a 40-year-old woman? Talking about whether or not you both want children and you're pretending like you're a 48-year-old. He sat there and had that whole conversation with me. And at the end of the conversation, I looked at him and I said, so how old are you really? And last night I said to my friend, he just looks old. And tonight when I was sitting there, it was like a light bulb went off. And I'm like, this guy is not fucking 48. We get along so well. I think he thought that I was going to sit and put up with it. He was shook to the core when I left. So many men are liars about the most asinine shit. I'm not going to date a liar. Been there, done that.
Complaining about an 8-year age gap while simultaneously discussing pregnancy at 40 is a level of biological delusion that requires professional intervention. The insane part of this story isn't his age. It's the belief that a geriatric pregnancy is a competitive offer in the modern dating market. He likely lied to bypass the ridiculous filters of a woman who thinks she still holds the leverage of a 20-year-old. Walking out on a genuine connection because of a number on a driver's license isn't having standards. It is self-sabotage wrapped in arrogance. You aren't single because men are liars. You're single because you would rather be right and alone than humble and happy.
You're male-centered. You're male-centered. Focus on your friends. Focus on hobbies. I have friends. I have hobbies. I have so much love in my life. But you know what I don't have? An outlet to be evil. Dating is for me to be evil. I can't be evil to my friends and to my families. I need to be evil to these disgusting, sexy men.
Treating men as designated emotional punching bags because the rest of society won't tolerate that behavior is the definition of predatory narcissism. Confessing that dating is a mechanism to inflict pain rather than build connection explains why the modern relationship landscape is a wasteland. Men are checking out precisely because they refuse to be the outlet for someone's unaddressed pathology. Calling them disgusting while craving their validation exposes a deep-seated misandry that no amount of hobbies can fix. This isn't dating, it is a hunt for a victim who hasn't learned to run yet.
I get so many DMs. They're like, how do you get so many dates from like Bumble or like the dating apps or Hinge? Be crazy. They never know what to expect from me. They never know my next move. I'll randomly send them my number and be like, text me when you have a date planned for us. Like, I don't mess around. And then once I have their number, then I'll randomly FaceTime them and see how they react, if they answer, how they are on the call, yada, yada, yada. I feel like the key to really getting to men is just like being a little bit insane and like mysterious, and they never know what to expect, and then they like want to get to know you more. I don't know, at least it works for me. Try it out.
Confusing psychiatric instability with mystery is the quickest way to attract men who are only looking for a temporary adrenaline rush. High-value men prioritize peace and consistency, so acting a little bit insane serves as a rigorous filter that removes anyone with genuine options. Randomly demanding dates and forcing FaceTime calls doesn't demonstrate confidence. It signals a chaotic lack of boundaries that screams liability. The only men who stick around for this guess my next move game are the ones bored enough to play with a shiny object before eventually discarding it. It works for getting dates because it mimics the behavior of a carnival ride, fun for 5 minutes, but nobody wants to live there. Mistaking being a source of cheap entertainment for being a candidate for commitment is exactly why she's still swiping instead of settling down.
A friend just asked me if I thought it was a bad idea if she puts that she's a misandrist in her dating profile. And I told her, don't worry, men don't know what that word means. And then we cackled. That's all.
Advertising that she hates men on the very app she's using to find one is a level of self-sabotage that is almost impressive. She thinks she's being clever by using a word she hopes they won't define, but she's the one playing herself. A man doesn't need a dictionary to sense when a woman absolutely despises his existence. The bad attitude speaks for itself. She's treating dating like a prank on an unsuspecting victim rather than a search for a partner. That cackle at the end isn't a win. It's the sound of two women celebrating the fact that they're going to remain single.
I wonder if any women that are in their 30s and single right now can relate to me on this. So I am 34 and I am single. I live alone. I'm in the UK. I would love children, and I, of course, would love that fantasy dream relationship. However, I'm not willing to settle. And a friend asked me the other day, how do I feel about the thought, like what does it make me feel when I think about bringing a relationship into my life? And it actually really got me questioning whether I actually even want a relationship. But because what it comes down to is like, I don't want mediocre love. Like I'm not accepting that. I am not settling. I've been on a good few dates recently.
Holding out for a fantasy dream relationship at 34 while the biological clock is screaming is a level of gambling that usually ends in regret. The refusal to accept anything mediocre is often just a refusal to accept reality, because real life isn't a romance novel with a perfect script. She's prioritizing a cinematic feeling over the practical necessity of finding a partner to start that family she claims to want. By the time she realizes that mediocre was actually just stability, the window for those children will be painted shut.
With some nice men. Two. I've been on 2 dates recently with nice men. There was nothing wrong with these men, but they just were an it. And it was on like both terms. I think for both of these men equally, we both thought we knew it wasn't it, you know? And I wonder if I'm asking for too much, and I refuse to believe that's a thing. I've also had friends in the past tell me to lower my standards. I'm sorry, what? No.
When close friends are explicitly telling you to lower your standards, it isn't an insult, it's an intervention because they see you chasing a ghost. Dismissing nice men with nothing wrong about them because they aren't immediately incredible is exactly how people end up alone. She's looking for a spark to entertain her rather than a slow burn that builds a life, and that approach is clearly failing. If the people who know her best think she's being delusional, she should probably listen before she filters herself out of the gene pool entirely.
But also, am I willing to let someone in that isn't incredible? No, like I'm so at peace with being alone that it's going to take a lot for someone to enter my life in that way. Can anyone else relate? Because I equally would love children, and I am so aware that I am 34 and I ain't getting any younger. Time's not slowing down. Yeah, does anyone else relate to that? Like, I'm so happy being alone, and I would quite happily spend a year not dating. But I do really want a relationship, but not with a mediocre man. Like, does that make sense? Or is it just this climate at the minute? Like, are all men just mediocre? Like, dating apps are tragic, right? Yeah, I don't know. Let me know if you can relate.
Claiming to be so at peace while frantically asking strangers for validation about her ticking clock is a massive contradiction. You can't be so happy alone and terrified of your age at the same time. One of those statements is a lie she's telling herself to cope. Blaming the climate and asking if all men are mediocre is a classic defense mechanism to avoid facing the fact that she might be the problem. If everywhere she goes smells like mediocrity, she needs to check her own upper lip.
I think one of the reasons that me and so many women in their 30s are single is because we don't want to train men. I was talking to my girlfriend the other day about this guy that I've been talking to who isn't quite acting as I would expect. And she was like, oh, that's trainable. That's not necessarily a deal breaker. Sometimes they just need a little bit of coaching. What if I don't want to be a coach? Why have we normalized training men? Why would I want to be with someone who I have to teach how to treat me? I didn't have to be trained. I have so many amazing girlfriends who didn't have to be trained. So why are we okay with the idea that we have to train our boyfriends? Now, I'm not saying that relationships don't take communication. Obviously, if you have expectations of your partner, you have to make them known. But I think the idea of training men is a modern day way of saying I can change him. And I think that leads women to settle. If I wanted to train something, I would get a dog.
Claiming she didn't have to be trained is the absolute peak of delusion, proving she lacks the self-awareness to realize she's likely impossible to please. She views basic relationship adjustments and compromise as training because she sees herself as a perfect finished product and the man as a defective appliance. Men aren't looking to be coached like toddlers. They're looking for cooperation, which she clearly classifies as unnecessary labor. The reality is that her amazing girlfriends are likely just as rigid and demanding, reinforcing each other's single status in an echo chamber of entitlement. If she wants a partner who anticipates her every neurotic need without instruction, she's looking for a psychic, not a husband. She's right about the dog though. At least a dog is loyal, grateful, and doesn't record videos complaining about its owner.
I was literally at a restaurant, yeah, and I could clearly tell that this guy that was sitting right there, he clearly fancied me, yeah, because he kept like, I don't know, do you know when you can tell, innit? Bro, like, if you like, just talk to me, like, talk to me then, the fuck? Like, why do men never approach me? Bro, like, god damn.
Wondering why men won't approach while aggressively calling them bro, and dropping F-bombs answers its own question. She mistakes a man's curiosity for desire, when he was likely just staring at the visible aura of hostility radiating from her table. Men are naturally repelled by conflict, and her energy screams public confrontation rather than warm invitation. Expecting a stranger to navigate that minefield just to say hello is a level of entitlement that guarantees she stays single. He didn't approach because he assessed the risk and realized the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. She demands a romantic comedy meet cute, but she's auditioning for a street fight.
Here's a list of all of the questions that I'm going to be asking my future partner before I get into a relationship with them. Number 1, what is your stance on abortion? Number 2, what is your relationship with your mom like? Number 3, do you watch porn? What kind of porn do you watch? Would you consider quitting for me? Number 4, have you ever had an authentically racist thought? Number 5, when is the last time that you cried and why? Number 6, did you vote? Who did you vote for? Number 7, do you have any friends that are in frats? Number 8, what would you do if I just started clawing my skin off in front of you? Would you comfort me? Would you still call me pretty? Would you still like me? Number 9, tell me about your worst first date story. Number 10, do you pee standing up or sitting down? Number 11, do you have any allegations? Be honest. Tell me. Number 12, are you going to put any effort into my birthday? Because that is a holiday, and it should be celebrated. And you shouldn't be waiting until last minute. Number 13, be honest, are you going to remember our anniversary, or is it going to be up to me to plan everything every single time? Number 14, how good is your hygiene? Please tell me that you have some form of routine, even a little bit. Number 15, are you going to be like, yay, I bagged a baddie, and then like a month into our relationship try to change every single thing about me? I hate the way that you dress. I hate that you have tattoos. Would you ever consider getting them removed? Like, you don't look classy. What? Number 16, do you have any actual trauma, or is it just like, one time my goldfish died? Or like, Number 17, have you ever punched a hole in the wall? I have, but like, you shouldn't.
Subjecting a potential partner to a 17-point interrogation that includes questions about clawing skin off isn't dating, it's a psychiatric admission screening. The sheer audacity to demand he treat her birthday as a national holiday while casually admitting to punching holes in walls is a masterclass in toxic double standards. She is actively hunting for a man with actual trauma to match her own volatility, yet expects him to be perfectly stable while she acts out. Gatekeeping mental struggles while asking if he'll still call her pretty during a psychotic episode proves she wants a hostage, not a husband. Any man with a survival instinct will hear "I have," but you shouldn't regarding violence and immediately sprint in the opposite direction. This list serves as a perfect warning label, ensuring that the only allegations involved will be the ones he makes to his therapist after escaping the date.
So, as you guys know, I've been documenting my dating journey on the internet, dating as a 29-year-old in the city of Boston. So my newest problem with men is men want boyfriend privileges, husband privileges without doing it, bro. They want you to turn down other men for them. They want you to exclusively date them. Like, they want all this stuff, but they won't ask you to be their girl. They won't do the stuff. They won't do the thing. And I'm like, you don't get the stuff without doing the thing. Like, why is it so hard for you guys to understand? I think that's my L, is I'm a little too giving them the thing. I'm too close to giving them the thing, and then that makes them feel like they have access. You don't got access, boo. You don't got access till you drop a bag on this. Are you bugging? Are you unwell? Like, it's just not happening. I'm not over here.
The thing she's talking about is her body. She admits it, then she denies it. She easily gives men access, but when they simply ask her to be exclusive, she refuses to drop her roster. She's addicted to giving the thing because it's the only way she knows how to secure temporary validation. She's treating intimacy like a handshake and then wondering why nobody puts any value on the relationship.